First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX and WIBX950.com.
David Dillard, he is an education analyst at KD College Prep. And if you have a kid that's heading off to college, these prep schools, prep services, very, very important. And the question is your kid now behind because of COVID-19? And David Dillard is on the line now. David, good morning.
Good morning.
So a new edition of the Texas Education Code could help parents navigate through the disruptions that occurred over the last year for their children. And we're talking about what is called the COVID slide. Is it? I'm assuming it's obvious what it is. It's the slide in their education based on remote learning. Is that what's going on?
That's correct. The impact of dealing with COVID in general has thwarted the retention and the ability to utilize what should have been learned for what comes next.
Yeah.
Studies are showing up to 5 to 6 months of learning loss during this past year and a half.
Look, I think this is absolutely true. My son just completed kindergarten. He's heading into first grade. I do think there was some loss, and I don't think this completely makes up for it, but I will say he is very familiar with a laptop computer and Zoom and digital connections than he ever would have been probably by the age of 10. And I do think there was some classroom loss. I completely think so. But there was a gain as well, I think, that we need to recognize.
He actually got an A+ in Madden football. He's doing really well. So,
but, I agree that it has affected students differently. The impact varies widely. Socioeconomic background, the learning abilities or disabilities, the learning style preference has affected different students differently. But the impact that is there, especially when you're talking about subjects that are dependent on each other and are foundational for future learning, it's something you have to take a look at.
Yeah. Listen, I think that I do think there is it may be different, though, for your sons coming out of kindergarten. What about somebody in junior high or high school?
Well, the older you get, the more ingrained you are in your social networks, your extracurricular activities, and so pausing or retaking is going to affect you differently. And so parents are going to have to look at this very carefully. In many cases, it's not a matter of retaking a year or even retaking a subject. It's going to be being on alert that there's going to need to be supplementation that is moving as we move ahead this year.
I do think, interestingly, my wife is an elementary school teacher, and I know that they've worked pretty hard during the off school year to come up with a curriculum that is going to make up for, because you think about it, you learn A, B, and C as in grade 3, and then you go to grade 4, you need to know A, B, and C, you do a little review, and then you kick in with E, F, G. And without the knowledge of ABC, you're struggling with EFG, if that makes any sense. And I think they've had to adjust their school curriculum because of that. Your knowledge of that or thoughts on that?
Well, our healthcare workers and our teachers on the ground should receive medals for the things they've had to do during this pandemic. They have been trying to close gaps and identify students that are struggling and try to put things in that are supplementing, even if the district overall or the individual school overall is not seeing it.
Right.
But I know that the institutions themselves are recognizing what's going on and trying to put things in that will make up for it. But this is a scramble that we will be undertaking for years.
David Dillard is an educational analyst with KD College Prep, and that KD College Prep is these are prep courses that students can take to prep for SATs and PSATs and that sort of thing.
Yeah. We help students not only with college admissions tests, but also college counseling, helping them navigate to their college dreams. And COVID has been one of those things that has allowed us to expand we've embraced the technology. We now have clients in over 36 states and 6 countries.
Wow. Yeah. It is interesting. There are things that came out of this with education. We spoke with the superintendent of schools yesterday. Things that came out of the last year that are worth keeping around. I think we've discovered an awful lot, and we test drove a few things that may be beneficial in education down the road. Other stuff, like we talk about, can hurt students, but it was a very interesting experiment we spent over the course of the last year and a half.
I would agree. It has allowed us to let go of some closely held, dearly held processes and approaches that in when you're under siege, you open your mind and are willing to think more creatively.
Yeah, yeah. David Dillard, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a great day. I think we learned one thing, that if you're, if you're just kind of getting out of bed and your student is on the computer remotely and they're having a problem and the mom or grandmother leans in to try to correct the problem on the keyboard, got to be careful what you're showing, because there's a lot of exposures that have happened over the course of the last year. Zoom.
Absolutely. And maybe my son got a pre-education in this. He got
could very well have. There's some.
Now he knows the do's and don'ts in front of the laptop.
That's right. Be very careful. Make sure you have a nice tight shirt on. You never know.
So does Mama.
Loose fitting can be real trouble.